Please welcome to the stage, co-host of Rise, Casey Lau.
All right, how's everyone doing out there? Good time? Looking good, everyone. All right, our first speaker tonight, I have a close attachment to because he's from Vancouver and is one of the biggest names in Web3 in the world. He bootstrapped Axiom Zen in Vancouver back in 2012 and launched a handful of great companies, receiving the accolade of one of Canada's most innovative companies. But one of them stood out the most, Dapper Labs. And in a few short years has changed the world of digital collectibles forever. In 2017, when the term non-fungible token had yet to make its way to the global lexicon, Dapper Labs was a tiny company making an Ethereum-based NFT game featuring cats. CryptoKitties, to be exact. With the success of CryptoKitties, Dapper Labs were now on a mission to make Web3 safe, accessible, and for a mainstream audience. Not to mention helping make Vancouver the Web3 hub of the world, affectionately known as Webcouver. At the height of the pandemic, Dapper launched their first mainstream project, NBA Top Shot, with moments of some of the most historic plays in basketball history, recently hitting $1 billion in trading volume, that's US dollars. There are now added UFC Strike, NFL All Day, and La Liga, all on the greenest blockchain network called Flow, where minting an NFT costs less carbon than a post on a social networking site. It took a lot of moving parts to get him here. Thanks, Arthur. So in conversation with Global News and Gaviola, it is my honor to welcome to the stage the co-founder and CEO of Canada's own Dapper Labs, Roham Gharogozlou.
Hello, everyone. What a beautiful crowd. And I just want to take one quick moment to say it is a thrill to be back to large-scale in-person events like this. And I should also say it's a thrill to be sharing the stage with you and to be able to have this great conversation in front of all these lovely people. In many ways, you're probably one of the key people kind of responsible for the mainstreamification of NFTs, and which we'll get into properly. But I want to start things with kind of the basics. Let's talk about Web3 and what that means to you. It's not quite a ubiquitous term yet, so enlighten us.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, thank you everybody for being here. What an amazing crowd and good to be back in Toronto. Shout out to Vancouver entrepreneurs in the audience.
Sounds like there's a few in here.
So Web3, I mean, I'll start off by maybe making a statement that I don't think anybody will disagree with. Our lives are increasingly digital, whether you talk about our social lives on Instagram and Twitter, whether you talk about our business lives on Salesforce or GitHub, whether you talk about the software that our governments use to make decisions that impact all of us every day in ways that maybe nobody fully understands. Software and the data systems, the data networks that sit on top of software already run everything about our lives. And so in a sense, we already live in the metaverse. Web3 is a new kind of software, is a new way to write software that actually makes it more open, more transparent, and more suited for the world that we live in a world where we as humans are so reliant on the software systems that govern our lives. Web3 is a way to build software that respects our rights as users and creates incredible opportunity for entrepreneurs and for developers that is global and permissionless. Anyone, whether they're 12 years old in Botswana or whether they're a Harvard graduate in Toronto, they can sit there and write software that billions of people around the world can use without any middlemen, without any person trying to take 10%, 30%, whatever it might be. And the most important thing to remember is Web3 is incredibly early. You have a handful of applications, you have a few millions of users that have ever touched Web3 products. And yet, it's this incredible green field of opportunity that means we can build software that sort of progresses society and takes us to the next level.
Okay, So we've got the basics kind of out of the way. I do also have to ask about what I consider kind of the big pink elephant in the room. There's a lot going on in crypto markets. There's a big sell-off, a collapse, a crash, however you want to describe it. I've heard, some choice words like a bit of a bloodbath or a reset. What I would like to find out from you, and I've been talking to quite a lot of people in the space about this, what is your take on what's happening right now and kind of the impact? Let's connect those dots of what's going on right now for kind of the longer term and medium term for this industry.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been an entrepreneur through multiple cycles now, and we started Dapper Labs in 2017, immediately went through a bear market cycle there, and that's where we built the whole company. That's where multiple billion-dollar companies were born, whether it's OpenSea or Alchemy or others. And so for me, nothing has changed. But at the same time, as entrepreneurs, as builders, we have to have empathy that, for most of our customers, their lives have been deeply affected, whether they're invested in NFTs or crypto or in Apple stock. Nothing is unaffected by what's been going on in the macro markets. And so we have to have empathy for our users, but recognize that crypto or Web3 or whatever you want to call it is one of the only markets in technology with 1,000x potential already built in. We've touched 1 million NBA fans. There's 1 billion NBA fans. There's 1,000x just in the NBA alone. And with that mindset, the work that we do can add more value to more people and sort of counteract what's happening in the macro markets. If you think about 2008, the whole passion economy was born out of people saying, well, the normal economy is not doing well, so what can I do in terms of monetizing the resources I have with Airbnb, et cetera, monetizing the time I have with Uber and Lyft. And I think this sort of reset, as you put it, is going to be such the right opportunity for builders to kind of create the next generation of products. Now, the key thing to remember, though, as for all the CEOs in the room, you have to stay solvent longer than any markets can stay irrational. And so make sure you don't run out of money, and make sure that you sort of are building products that respect the current consumer mindset, which is around efficiency much more than, let's say, luxury or showing off or whatever it might be. But gaming, entertainment, anything that adds real value to real people is in my opinion, completely recession-proof.
Completely recession-proof. Super interesting. Now, I want to talk about your kind of MO, your raison d'être. You're a bit of a man on a mission, is how I would describe you. And a big part of that mission involves mass adoption, widespread adoption. You'd love to see, I'm told, crypto wallets available to everyone who would like to have access. Tell me a little bit more about that, and also how CryptoKitties essentially kind of paved the runway for all of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, CryptoKitties was a product we built even before Dapper Labs existed, and it was almost a proof of concept it was the first product that said, well, you can use crypto technology to build things other than currencies, and things that normal people can use. And you're right, I am a man on a mission, because I think once we put crypto wallets in every pocket, that is basically every person empowered to both create, share, and participate in value economies around the world. I think of back in the 80s, 90s, Bill Gates had this thing of put a PC on every desktop. And PC on every desktop was kind of the ability for any person to access the world of information out there. But a crypto wallet in every pocket, and it can ride on the same 6 billion mobile phones that are already out there, gives people access to a network of value, and changes the relationship that people have with the brands that they're a fan of, with the communities that they're a part of, just like, in a sense, social media changed the relationship in terms of the information that they exchange. And so, I was talking to, actually related to the market crash question, I was talking to a Top Shot collector. He's in his 40s, quit his job recently to start a company, and that's obviously turned much more difficult in today's environment, but wanted to talk to me about Top Shot and how, for him, it's not about crypto, it's not about NFTs, it's about a shared experience with his kids, and getting more value out of being an NBA fan, feeling more engaged on a daily basis with the sport. And his kind of message to me in this kind of user research call that I did was, don't get, the real fan in Top Shot. Yes, the economy is critically important, and there's a variety of things the team is doing on that front. But the essence of it is that shared experience, that social experience, and that doesn't go away. And in fact, is even more important in an environment negativity.
Okay, you talked about the kind of environment of negativity. You brought up Bill Gates. I do want to talk about the state of the NFT market. It's in a different kind of space and maybe viewed by the mainstream differently now, today, than it was, a year plus ago when it was starting to really get onto everyone's radar in a really big way. Bill Gates had some pretty choice words for crypto and the NFT market. I'm not going to repeat verbatim, but he did essentially, he said it's a bit of a sham and reliant on the, greater fool theory. I'd like to know, if you want to respond to what Bill Gates said, you're welcome to. And also, what is the state of the NFT market right now?
It's very typical that people who built a lot of value and created a lot of value in previous technology shifts tend to miss the future technology shifts. And in some ways, it's because of the perception that they have, the sort of the worldview that they have, and in some ways, it's because they're jumping to conclusions based on incomplete information. They don't have the time to really go deep and see, kind of at the ground level, what's happening. And so, Bill Gates himself missed the wave in mobile, missed the wave in social media, and this is because he created that first wave that enabled all of the following to exist. So, with all due respect, I don't worry too much about people that don't see the future. I spend a lot of time with people that do see the future, because those are the people that are building the future. And at the end of the day, the people building the future have the power to shape that future. And so kind of writing off an entire technology based on a few applications where if you look at the early internet, if you look at the current internet, how much of the current internet adds no value to anybody? How much of the current internet is scams and shams and frauds and et cetera? But how much of the current internet has helped billions of people access a quality of life that was never possible for the average human on this planet, access a level of empowerment, education, and opportunity that was never possible for the average human. So that's kind of what I think about, and so in a sense, our mission is more important than ever in an environment of kind of misunderstanding. Now, when you talk about the state of the NFT market, it is shifting very much from a point of, hey, hype or promise to a moment where you have to deliver on those promises. You have to provide utility, real value to real people, just like, and this shift happens in every single technology. Lots of excitement, and then it's clear who are the people that are going to go the distance, who are the people that are building products and communities that are going to last and are going to compound over the years. And I think we have a lot of fantastic, some of the smartest people in the world every day are quitting Web 2, going into Web 3, and thinking to themselves, well, I have X amount of years left in my career. I want to build software that is open. I want to build products that my kids are going to be proud of me for, not build software that enriches a few at the expense of the many, or that actually controls access, controls opportunity, and puts a tax and a toll on it, when the alternative is possible, right? 20 years ago, the alternative wasn't possible. Today, we have software that can run transparently in the open, and so why wouldn't you build it in that way?
And I do want to take a moment to kind of, when we talk about NFT technology, a year plus ago, I couldn't say NFT without giving a short description of what it actually is to remind people. And now it's understood. I mean, people have that kind of grasp of the basics.
Yes.
And I would love to ask or get your thoughts on, what do you think is the kind of biggest misconception around NFTs?
Well, just to touch on the stage question. So you had a moment in the internet when people were asking, what does HTTP stand for? How does email work? Then you had a moment in the internet when people were talking about email or websites as a thing. And then when you truly go mainstream, then it's just about, Gmail, right? Uber, Airbnb. It's the product, not the technology. It's the value that it gives you, not how it works. And so it's very natural to notice, and it's actually positive to notice a shift away from, hey, what is an NFT, and towards, hey, if I have a UFC strike, if I'm going to a UFC match, I better have a UFC championship moment, because that gives me access to the Champions Club. That's it. You don't have to worry about how the technology works, what blockchain it runs on, where you store it. In a sense, everything will be compatible with everything with everything else. So I think that's critically important to remember. And what was the question that I didn't answer?
Oh, I wanted to find out about, the state of the
Misconception
NFT
about
market.
NFTs.
Misconceptions, things that people think that maybe you have a great opportunity to kind of shatter that myth right now.
I think the misconception about NFTs is that it's all about just like every piece of information that is relevant to everybody else is now online. Every asset every asset that is relevant to everybody else will be on chain eventually. So NFTs aren't this sort of niche thing that is only applicable to digital artists or sort of sports franchises or big brands or whatnot. It is every asset that will one day be useful to move across different applications, will in some sense, whether it's a fungible token or non-fungible token, will be represented on the blockchain. And so this technology shift isn't about a new kind of corner of the internet. It's about remaking everything that we use and we rely on to be more open and more accessible to everybody else. And another misconception is that it's only about individuals or users or economic trading. It's actually more about developers, and it's more about the things you can build on top of these open networks, the things you can build on top of NFTs, and the value that can compound over years and years. And so, it's super early days, but it's the single biggest economic opportunity of my lifetime in terms of what entrepreneurs like yourselves can jump into and the kind of products you can build.
Kind of like the next frontier, I guess you could say. You talk about it being the early days. This is one of my favorite questions, and I ask this year after year. When we talk about the crypto space, I'm going to lump the NFT space in there. How early is it? And I kind of equate that to, is it is it a toddler? Is it a tween, a teen? Like, where are we at?
I think it's a toddler in the sense that you can clearly tell, hey, it's a person. It can do all of these things.
It can do things, yeah.
It can do things. But I mean, specifically compared to the internet, there was a point in the internet when people talked about email, and there was a point where everybody knew what You've Got Mail meant. There was a movie called You've Got Mail. And we are nowhere close to that when it comes to crypto. People know what NFTs are, but the process for a non-technology person to actually go buy one and then to use one, or for a brand to create a product that lets the users bring NFTs into it, or for a creator to take out an iPhone, snap a picture or draw a doodle, and then get a URL where anyone can come with a credit card, buy that NFT. That we are in a sort of technology shift phase, very far from it. But all of that's going to happen really, really quickly, because unlike the internet, you don't have to dig up the ground and build fiber optic cable. You just free ride on the 6 billion smartphones that exist. And so it's just about, I think we're 6 to 12 months away from usable products that you can buy an NBA Top Shot, take it to Instagram and into Twitter and into different, it's the first time you can buy a digital product in one application and take it to another application. And that's going to be live in a month or two. And so as those applications become live, they inspire other entrepreneurs. What could I build on top of it? Fantasy game, a social network, a different kinds of in real life community engagement. That is going to compound hyper quickly.
That's super interesting where you talk about the reducing of the friction points for consumers, because you're right, they can't handle too much. We don't have a ton of time, but I absolutely want to ask you, what is the one thing that you want everyone watching and listening to kind of take away, to remember from our talk and our moment here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, which is the people that build the future have the power to shape it, and everybody in this room has the choice to work on anything you want to work on, and to build things in multiple, there's 1,000 ways to build the same product for the same customer. And I think that it's incumbent upon us to look at the lives that we're leading, the dependency that we have on digital networks, and say, well, why not build them in an open way? Why not build them in an interoperable, decentralized, and ultimately accessible way where anybody in the world can be empowered to create value? So that thought of, hey, you have a choice of what to work on, and you have the choice of how to work on it, is in a lot of ways what motivated us to get into NFTs, to create the concept of an NFT or CryptoKitties, etc. And I think it's incumbent upon everybody to see if you can do the same.
What a great kind of parting message for this kickoff for Collision. We're going to leave it there just for now, but we can continue the conversation. You can find us at Collision. You can find us on social media. Thank you so much for your time and your insight, of course.